we might as well carry on and show you up at the nuke yard. So these were all nukes that I made this spring. Those were late transfers. You can see they're all working really hard. We're actually on 4G network now, so I don't know whether I've got as good a signal, but it seems we have a little bit of a flight going on because with all the lovely rain we had, everything that was kind of hanging in there is rejuvenated, and we seem to be having some flying. So this is my cell builder, absolutely packed full of bees. I'm not going to open it now, I'll show you in a moment. But this is my cell bar, all ready to go. So we'll take our cell bar and we will insert the bars. Well, this is our cell bar frame. We'll insert the larvae in a minute. I'll show you what I talked about before when I was talking about Asian hornet traps. So this is the traps that I use. This is the setup I use now. And it holds the traps really well at the right height. So this time of year, you need to be focusing your efforts on trapping the Asian hornets near your colonies. So if you invest in these cattle spikes, you can actually put your traps quite close to where the hornets are going to stalk, and you generally target quite a few. Look at these bees pouring in. I think they think there's some rain coming because there's just loads of bees all pouring back in right now. So loads of Asian hornets and wasps and a few flies. You'll hear all the environmentalists crying at me going, oh, you shouldn't be trapping flies. Yeah, I know that. But the non-selective traps basically don't work. So, and this time of year, generally we don't get many flies, but we do target the Asian hornets pretty well. So I'll show you something here. This is an Asian hornet's nest that I destroyed last night. I didn't know it was there till I got stung the other day on my hand. It was actually built inside the block. It wasn't a terrifically big nest, but it would have been had I left it longer. Some dead Asian hornets in there. That's the jabberpod trap again. So it's quite, if you don't trap, you suffer. And I've got a load this week. A lot of these colonies that are mated, which are over there, the 3 rows there, they will all be leaving the apiary and they'll be going to another place to get them out of here, because I want to take more bees to another apiary to increase the amount of bees in that one apiary. Because the foraging is finished, this is more to improve the security of the bees that are there. Because if you think about it, the way it works with Asian hornet is generally the distribution of nests is similar. So if you move more bees to one area and you have the same amount of predation by Asian hornets, you have less predation on individual colonies. So that's kind of how we think about it. And now we're done with managing the spring trapping. That's done. Now we're managing the summer issues. We're trying to keep the numbers down, but basically they will be increasing in numbers all throughout the summer. It's been quite warm already, so this year we're thinking it's going to be quite a very intense year. So by doing that, we kind of distribute the load and reduce the stress on each colony, and that's one way. And we're going to feed. We're going to be. I'm caging queens, and also I'm bringing back a lot of the nukes I'm creating now. This is the last kind of gasp. We've got rain, we've got cooler temperatures, so it's the perfect time for me to use the cooler weather to really work hard, to not moan about it, just to get on and get all the nukes split and done, and the colonies, all the honey off the colonies, because there's honey on all these hives still, but I'm using these as cell builders as well, because it's really easy to do so. So when I mean cell builders, I mean I use them as finishers. So I think I've got cells in that one, cells in that one, and cells in one of those over there. And basically when I take them out of there, I'll put them onto a bar and then put them above a queen excluder, but in between the frames, 14 in between the frames of a normal hive. But okay, it slows the harvest process because I can't take the supers off because they're doing the job of holding the cells. But within a few days, those cells will be gone and will be in nukes. So all of this will change very quickly. My point is all this will change very quickly. The honey will be off, the hives will be moved, and I'll bring in other nukes like this. This is a few made of the day. And these aren't queened yet with a cell. These will have a cell from one of those boxes in the next couple of days because these were the first ones we did, but we've got about another 60 to do like this. And these will have their own queen cells in them. If I went into them now, I could knock them off, and I'll probably do that either this afternoon or tomorrow. But I'm here to get the graft in. It's been probably half the graft. So we're going to get these into a cell bar. Let's get that done now. And the bar I use, I've made myself. Okay, this is a straightforward Dayton setup bar, but what I've done is I've actually got these. First of all, I got it machined thinner, so the cell bar fits in better in the hive because I like to squeeze the frames up to it. But the thinner your cell bar, the less they can build comb on it. Believe you me, it makes a difference. So this is what we did. We actually, I machined these on a normal machine before I put all the metal on. But what the metal does is it stops the frame. It stops the cell bars falling through, so they can only go in one side. So that's kind of what we do. So I'll put our bars in there. They just pop into the frame. A little bit tight now because the bar is pretty gunked up. See if I can show you. Probably not that well. But anyway, they go in like this. And on the back of these, you'll see that when I'm ready to take the bars out after they've been finished, they will actually open up these bits of metal, and I can rest these between the frames of the finisher. Now, can I leave my cells in this cell builder, in this one here, if I wanted to? Of course you can. And that's the whole thing about cell building. It's pretty flexible to be able to do different things. If you're going to raise a load of cells, like I've done here, I've probably got about 60 already raised that are distributed to finishers, then I can leave the last lot in here, and I'll probably leave one anyway and let that requeen that colony. Or I'm actually going to stock some more anyway. I'm going to harvest some more frames of brood from my brood factories, which are also hives and finishers, and stick them in there just to boost it up for the next week, because it will just give more nurse bees. That's the problem with cell building, is you've got to do a lot of work with it quick. And I won't tell you a lie. I actually came today to take the cells out of there that I realised I hadn't done a graft 2 days ago when I thought I had. So I didn't have any cells to harvest, like an idiot. But it's because we were working late, and basically I had a weekend off. So it was good. So let's open this cell builder up. You can leave the cells if you've got them kept in a warm place and it's not too dry. You could leave them for a good couple of hours. It would make no difference. It's all in your cell builder. It's all in how you set things up. Let's go and have a look inside with my super deluxe brush and hive tool. I absolutely love this. This is what I do. When I'm feeding, I close up most of the hole on the top so that only a few bees can get through, because I don't want them to take the syrup down quickly. I just want them to know that they've got a feed. So let's have a look in here. Nice lot of bees. Look at that. And that's what your cell builder should look like. You see them all festooning there. So I've got the Hive Alive packets of pollen sub on top, which I love. I've also got a pollen frame. Let's pop that at the front, out the way for now. So I've got this is my pollen frame. It's not the best pollen frame, but it's okay. I've got Hive Alive pollen patties here, which gives, it's only 12% protein, but it's better than nothing, and it's a carbohydrate as well. And I'll put a feeder on. So I'm going to give these bees everything they need to draw up cells, because they are hopelessly queenless at the moment. But I'm just going to check a couple of frames, because this is what you do if you're a little bit more experienced. You don't just stick your cells in, you just have a moment to kind of just check that all the signs are right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drag a couple of frames out, because I want to just have a quick look inside, because I want to check and see that there's no sign of a virgin running around, there's no sign of any eggs, and that looks pretty good. I want to just check that no other cell cups fell down last time. There's my pollen frame. See, it's not fantastic. It's better than nothing, and this is right alongside my cells. So there's absolutely no reason for them not to drop cells. That's not a cup, that's just basically a It's basically a play cup. So that looks pretty good and clean. Let's just drag this other frame out and have a look at that. I need my hive tool. Beautiful frames, just full of stores. It's exactly what I'd expect with that one. Tiny bit of brood there, just finished hatching from when I made the cell builder up. But that's a good sign because I know that there's still a little bit of few nurse bees being added to the mix. I like that. So we're just going to pop this back in. I'm not going to do much more with this. I'm just going to grab my cells. Let's get these in. So the reason why I've got the metal on is when I'm handling this, the cells won't fall out, the bar won't fall out. So I can hold it like that, the metal holds that in. So in goes my cells. And we'll let it sink down on its own because there's not much room. There we go. And you'll see the bees' reaction. They always like to fan this colony. I don't know why. But see them starting there? They know they're saved. And they know that they've got larvae to start. So they've all started fanning here. And they're drawing the other bees in. I could just move that other frame over a bit. It wouldn't make a lot of difference, but it's more stores in the right place. Now, what I often mention with this is that if you want to stop them building comb on the frames, we don't have much of a problem with that at the moment because the flow is off. However, looking at these frames here, they're pretty full of stores. There's not much room to store any sugar that will bring through my feeder, which obviously I want to have. But so what I do is I put in a frame, 2 frames of foundation further up if I know there's a flow on, because I can't afford to have webbing built all over my cells because it just makes it a complete nightmare. They're actually munching on that protein really well. That's nearly gone, that packet. These have been on a couple of days, but they're eating into it well, so I'll just leave them as they are. They look good. I'll come back tomorrow morning first thing, take these cells out, and I'll put these above a queen excluder to be a finisher. That's all you need to do. This cell builder isn't quite as strong as others I've made, but it's a really effective one. These bees, some bees you get do really well. Some bees you have don't do as well. But they generally always raise queens if you give them that stimulus. So don't forget, this colony was originally had that queen underneath it, and I had where that box is now. That box was in that place with that box on top. So we had a double brood box with a queen excluder between the two. And I gave that box, or that colony, this colony, the 2 boxes, had 10 frames of brood added. And then I went through this top box, shook out the queen. Sorry, shook out any queen cells. Let's get this right. And then found there was no queen cells in it, but I checked. And then I moved that to one side. Then I went out and I moved the box that is there now to that place. So I moved the queen away. So all the pheromone that was coming into the whole box disappeared. Suddenly the bees became hopelessly queenless because there was no smell of the queen. And the big thing of all is they had no way of raising their own queen, because all that was in its place was this box with no larvae that was old enough to raise a new queen. That's what we call hopelessly queenless. And that's the basic principle of raising queens. When there's no way of making a queen, they will only make one with the larvae they can find, and if they haven't got any, they've got to wait for you to give them one. So now this colony was hopelessly queenless before we put those grafts in. Now it's not. Now it is queen, potentially queen right. We're going to put a feeder on. I have some feed over there. I'm going to smoke these out of the way, get the feeder on, get some syrup in, and then we will be able to give them the carbohydrate they need. So everything will be kind of the best thing possible. So we've catered for their needs in the frame wise. We've given them a frame of pollen. We've also given them I always check inside the feeder to check it's over the hole. There's no point in doing that because they can't get anything. Just make sure they can get in and get out. Ants always play a bit, and also when this time of year, when you're tipping syrup into that feeder, tip it from a bucket that's only got a little bit in. I'll tell you why. Because if you spill any syrup in the yard this time of year, it is a complete nightmare. You will get robbing, crazy, frenzy. We were shaking out some frames the other day. I say we because I had Gabrielle with me, who was a guy doing an observation stage or a work experience. And literally we were shaking out some nukes there that were queenless, that had gone past their sell-by date. In other words, they hadn't made a queen quick enough. And the amount of bees was just insane, just robbing bees, just into everything. So always be careful this time of year. But we've got just enough, the right amount in here. This is a 1-to-1 mix. I don't need it too strong. Just going to pour this in one-handedly and still risk tipping it over everything. But that will be enough, and they will be able to just take the syrup from this, and that will go towards raising better queens. So that is done. Will I put anything on that? Probably not. I might just put my shaker box upside down on it just to keep it from the lid blowing off, because if the lid blows off, then it will be robbed out, and then all that syrup will just be full of dead bees. So that's all I need to do. This is my original shaker box, aka Mike Palmer style, with my duct tape on the top. It works really well. Still using the same one. Everything is good. Don't forget to close up your syrup in your apiary, because if you don't, you will come back and there'll just be a pile of dead bees in there, and you'd have lost about 1,000 bees. And leaving the lid open just like that is still a disaster. Close it, snap it down. So that is the larvae are in the cell builder. Tomorrow I will come and have a look at them. Hopefully we'll have a good take, a reasonable take. Even if I get half, that's enough, because I don't need them all. My point is, you can continually use a cell builder and you can continually raise a number of bees and put them in different finishes so that they hatch out over a good period of time. So you've got like a continuous trickle that comes through your apiary, and then you can get nukes made accordingly to be used in those nukes. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that's a little bit of an insight into what I do when I raise my queens. We'll look at maybe some finishes at a time. Now I've got to go up to another apiary and put more of these traps up, and I've actually got another Asian hornet's nest to take out. So what we do is we trap the nest really hard first, and then like a fool, I treat them myself with my hornet spray. This stuff is absolutely brilliant. What you need to do is, I would never treat a big nest, but this time of year the nests are still small. So what we do is you literally tap the nest or stimulate the nest a tiny bit, and all the Asian hornets kind of literally rush out over the surface of the nest. And at that time, they're not looking to fly, but that stuff is so good, it's instant death. You spray it with that, literally a couple of squirts, and they all drop to the floor. And then you can then puncture a hole in the nest and squash it and squirt it through. I wouldn't recommend doing it. Always use a fully qualified disinsector or a treatment specialist guy, but I know what I'm doing at this stage. I would never do it more. I'm actually a bit scared of doing it. I've done it several times before, and I did this one the same the other night, but I had trapped the apiary hard so we didn't have many workers that were left in that nest. That's my point. If you know what you're doing and you put traps out first, then you will weaken that colony sufficiently so that when you need to treat it, there's not many workforce. And that's what I'm doing with these traps. So these traps here will go all around the nest, and they'll come back probably tomorrow night, and I will be able to just quickly treat the nest, and that'll be the end of it. So that's all from Brittany now. Catch you again soon. Bye for now.